It's good morning, Steve Smith. Thank you for joining us at Yellow Shelf.
Thank you, Joe, for having me on. I'm really excited to be involved. You're doing something really cool here, getting more and more of these things out in front of people. So it's
Yeah.
fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, and look, Steve, we were just chatting off air about how we were trying to get our worlds aligned to do this interview, and we made it happen within less than 24 hours. So I'm super grateful because you have an awesome podcast, and I'm
Ah, thank you.
excited to share it with everyone. It's called the Golfing Greenkeeper podcast.
Yes.
Congratulations. Tell us all about it.
Well, thank you, first of all, Joe. Again, thank you so much for having me on. Look, it's the Golf and Greenkeeper podcast is really just about sharing with people what goes on behind the scenes in golf courses around Australia. It's an Australian-based focus. We do venture outside the bounds of the country now. I've just done a little bit of that, but essentially, it's about focusing on Australian golf courses and getting an understanding out there to not just the golfing public, but where we can break down the barriers to the general population into society of what goes on behind the fences of golf courses and how we sort of look after and care for the land, the environment, and just what's happening behind those fences. Because a lot of people think that usually because it's closed off and they're behind fences, things go on that they don't understand, and it's not always good, which is quite the opposite. And I'm trying to get a lot of those stories out, and certainly the types of people and their careers in greenkeeping. I got a lot out of it personally, being a superintendent for nearly 10 years,
Yeah.
and I think talking about the stories and sharing other people's stories in the industry is really fascinating as well.
Yeah. And look, you started this podcast back in 2020 and you're nearly at 130
Yeah,
episodes
yeah,
roundabout.
I can't believe it. It's wild.
And I encourage people to take a look at your back catalogue because there are golf courses around Australia, really diverse, different golf courses, like
Yep.
Humpty
It,
Do. I was listening to
yeah,
that one, and you know, you were mentioning your background, and that's the Blue Mountains area.
yep.
There's golf courses in that area. Like there's fascinating golf courses, and the podcast you learn, about the architecture, about the design. But it's interesting. Golf in general can be. People make assumptions about golf, and I'm sure they make it about golf courses as well. And I think what you do really well, Steve, is you break that down, and you're chatting to people everywhere about golf courses.
Yeah, no, look, thank you. And I'm glad it comes across that way because I was never sure. And like you mentioned, 2020, it was a COVID project, a sort of random thing. I got a bit of inspiration from a friend of mine who started another podcast. And I thought it's a great way, a new opportunity, a new medium out there that people can listen to in their own time, in their own space, in their own way.
Yeah.
And lots of people are using podcasts to learn. So I thought it's a great way to break off out of the mold, if you like, and share the insights into golf courses. Because as a golf course superintendent or a former golf course superintendent, you look after and care for the land. You're custodians of the land that you have that people play golf on, and they're out there enjoying the sport and the pastime of golf, and
Yeah.
and that's the essence of a sport. So, as someone who maintains the space and looks after it, it's not just the grass, which is what people think it is outside greenkeeping, outside golf. It's very much about the entire landscape. There's the water, there's the environment, there's the soil structures, and there's flora and fauna, local endemic environments as well to particular golf courses. You can see my background, the Blue Mountains. That's the golf course that I used to maintain before. Unfortunately, it closed down, but it's in a beautiful landscape. And you mentioned Humpty Doo in the Northern Territory, which is a small nine-hole track, and the people that look after them. There's volunteers,
Yeah.
but it's getting that. I'm glad it's coming across as being broken down in a way for people to digest easily because that's really what I'm trying to do and getting those details out of how we look after that space. It's not really too dissimilar if you boil it down into the essence of a bit like looking after large property, farming, that type of work. You talk to anyone who looks after large property and farming in regional areas, and the land it's like a part of their family, and it's usually handed down through generations, and they have this wonderful attachment to the landscape in all of its different parts and all of its different components, and they know the animals. I mean, as a super, we used to feed the birds that would
Yeah.
come by. They were friends. We had them in the mornings. You get the magpies and the parents and the babies would come down at feeding time at Smoko and all those different things
Yeah.
that you would see. We had pet snakes in different parts of the golf course that it's really this attachment to the landscape, and that's something that we don't often hear about when people just straight up talk about golf and golf courses. It's so much more than that and so much more nuanced.
Yeah, and I really do want to point out because I'm not a golfer. I'm someone who has learnt so much from listening. Steve, tell us these days I see that you're a golf course consultant and you're also like an industry expert. Tell us about
Yep.
you these days and what you do besides the podcast.
So yeah, apart from obviously the podcast, is being a golf course consultant, and it's my expertise available to golf clubs around the country, and it's begun a lot more locally to where I used to work as well in the Blue Mountains that I've done some work in recent times, and that's just being able to work with clubs that they might not have someone who could be there full time as a
Yeah,
superintendent, and I'm able to give them my expertise and work with them to set up plans and programs so that they can carry out those steps and build a profile for them to get to where they want to get to. And they might not be able to engage someone in a full-time employment arrangement.
yeah,
And that's where sort of the flexibility of what I'm doing now allows them to pick my brains and my expertise and set
yeah,
them up for success so that people can see what they're doing. They're able to help themselves and help the local community and the local environment and offer something that is unique to their space. That every golf course is unique. It's like an individual person.
yes.
They're all to their own space, and they're an enjoyable part to go and experience.
Yeah. And Steve, if we're watching, because people will watch this all around the world, but if we're watching, we're curious how to follow you, how to kind of the podcast. I mean, it's obviously on all the platforms, but how do we connect with you? You're on Instagram. Where do you want to point people if they're curious about learning more?
So if they're curious about learning more, it's Instagram and Facebook. Instagram is my home, if you like.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of it's we see golf courses through our eyes, and
Yeah.
and we learn it through our senses. So, and the biggest part of that is through pictures and videos. So Instagram is where I hang out the most,
Yeah.
and that's the Golfing Greenkeeper, all one word, and also on Instagram is also on Facebook is the Golfing Greenkeeper as well. So that's the easiest place for people to see what I'm doing, to maybe get an insight into just how this space works and what we're up to, and also they can message me through there. I have lots of conversations
Yeah.
as my microphone falls away. Lots of conversations with lots of people.
Hey, that's podcasting, isn't it?
It is.
Um,
So yeah,
listen.
so people can get in touch with me there quite easily.
Yeah, and look, I mean, that's how I connected with you on Instagram, but I also follow you on LinkedIn. So
Yes.
if there's
Yep.
LinkedIn listeners here, you can be found there as well. I'm going to put
Yep.
all that in the show notes to make it anyone who is listening, watching, to connect. I'm hoping you get inundated with ideas about golf courses and whatever, because I think your podcast's fabulous. And
No,
as a
thank you.
non-golfer, these days. It's good to learn.
It really is, and I really do appreciate you listening and learning, and that's what it's all about. It's getting an insight into something that people don't know about, and it's
Yeah.
so much more interesting than what they think. I mean,
Yes.
I know people that are friends and family that listen that don't play golf at all, and they
Yeah.
enjoy the stories. They enjoy
Yes.
around the different parts of the country, and it's
Yeah.
really a lot more fascinating than we give it credit for, and it's
Yeah.
something that we don't often talk about, which is fantastic.
Yeah. Well, I've laid down the challenge. People need to take a listen. Steve, thank you so much for joining us at Yellow Shelf.
Joe, thank you so much for the opportunity. It's great to have done it with you.
Cheers.